Look, I get scammed all the time. I'm human just like you. Now, what most people do is they only talk about their accomplishments, but that's not what we do on this channel. Our goal is to look at both sides of the equation to make sure that we're actually making money and not lying to ourselves. So in this video, I'm going to take the opportunity to show you guys the times that I have actually got scammed in DeFi and what I've done to offset the costs. In this video, we'll be going over all the DeFi protocols that I've lost money with liquidity or just buying the coin and pump and dump, et cetera, et cetera. Keep watching. What's going on, everybody? Alex back with another cryptocurrency video. Today, we're talking about the other side of the equation, the non-bullish side, right? We're going to be talking about times where I've gotten scammed, and we're going to try to avoid those because we learn the most when we make the most mistakes. And good thing I'm human, because if I wasn't human and I was perfect, I would have not be making these YouTube videos. I'd probably just, trade my way to $1 billion, right? That would be the easy way out. Being that trading is so lucrative, the competition is high, guys, and people will take advantage of you in this market. So we have to recognize that this is the wild, wild west of finance and adjust accordingly. We're not going to win all of them. And as long as you know that, you're putting yourself in a good position to understand when you lose, right? Because people usually will lash out on some emotional, tangent and make very wrong moves, make very bad trades, very emotional trades. So our goal here is to avoid that completely at all costs and look at it from a subjective point of view. And if you appreciate that I'm willing to put my reputation on the line by showing you guys transparency, open, and trust, do us both a favor, hit that subscribe button as well as the push notification bell so you get videos like this all the time. I try to keep it down to earth. We talk about money, entrepreneurship, how to invest in cryptocurrency, etc. Now, some of this is time sensitive, so do us both a favor and make sure you turn all notifications on. Because sometimes I'll drop an altcoin video or something like that, and people tend to make some money off of that. But of course, none of this is financial advice, and everything I say should be backed up with your own evidence, okay? Your own research. So let's jump into the video. Let's talk about a quick story that I had in 2017. This is like my first, I guess you can say, dance with like these scams. This is like my first interaction or my first, downfall with these scams. So back in 2017, it was a little bit different. It wasn't DeFi, but what it was is these smart contracts, these platforms that would offer, yield or 1% back. Now, the biggest one that most people know about is something called BitConnect. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard of BitConnect, right? BitConnect was like a big scam. Now, it happened to be that I was actually heavily invested in BitConnect. Now, you can't get emotional investments. Obviously, it ended up being a scam. I ended up making money, and I got out before the bubble popped, right? So it ended up being a good investment for me, but obviously, a lot of people lost a lot of money in these scams. Now, the hard part about DeFi, you have to understand, is that there's just these new emerging technologies. It's a fine line. We're walking this line of, revolutionary technologies versus scams, right? And they can hide in plain sight. So let's think about this story in 2017. So BitConnect was promising 1% a day, which is absolutely ridiculous. That's 365% a year. Now, the first thing I didn't recognize for some reason, I didn't realize that that was not possible, right? In 2017, I was just new. I was only like 2 years into cryptocurrency, and I didn't realize that people can literally take your money in plain sight, put other people's credibility on the line, and exit scam, right? So that's what happened with BitConnect. The coin went up in value artificially. They were forcing people to lock up funds. And then eventually the Ponzi scheme came down. I lost a lot of money. I think that day I lost like $26,000. I ended up coming out positive in the end. But the point I'm trying to get across here is that specifically, even if people are smart, quote unquote smart, there was people, very smart people that got scammed in BitConnect that lost a lot of their money. Now, obviously, there's some people that were calling scam from the beginning, and thank you for putting out that positive information, but not all the time. We can't catch all of them, right? If you're in the market, if you're in it to win it, sometimes you will get caught off guard. So how do we separate scam from revolutionary technology? Like I said, it's like a mirage. We don't know for sure because a lot of times there's not enough information to process it the right way, unless you're like a developer and you know how to audit code for yourself or something like that. Look, I am not God. I am not perfect. I've lost money. So let's learn from those experiences and make sure that you guys don't do the same thing. I'm gonna jump into the screen. Let's go over some protocols. All right, so let's talk about all the times I got scammed for your viewing pleasure and so that you guys can learn from my mistakes. So the first one I wanna show you is BitConnect. So this is the first time I experienced getting, exit scammed or whatever the case is. But let me just tell you the history. So it's really interesting because, guys, look, this is a historical snapshot from 2018. This is when the market was taking off. Look, BitConnect was number 26. There was $2 billion locked up in the platform. It was appreciating by large percentages. And at one point, I believe it even was like top 10 or top 15 or something like that, which is insane because this ended up being a huge scam. It was completely a scam, guys. It was a scam coin. Now, the lesson I learned from this was that even though, coins can appreciate in value, doesn't always necessarily mean that they're not a scam. So in this case, they were claiming that they were going to make 1% a day if you lock up your coin. So if you give them your Bitcoin, they'll give you a 1% increase. That's 365% a year. That's a lot of money. That's essentially seeing like 300% APY that you see on some of these DeFi protocols. Now, the problem is that they were not transparent. They were claiming that they were trading to get the 1%, but they didn't show anything, right? And for whatever reason, they were hiding the actual transactions on the blockchain. Now, this is kind of similar to YFI. They don't make 1% a day. It's more realistic. But the YFI kind of does the same thing. They were claiming they were arbitraging money, they were trading, and they were able to pay back everybody, for the, profit of the trades. But the problem in this situation is that they were just taking new money and paying it back to the older people, and that's all they were doing. It was a big Ponzi scheme. When they actually released the tokens for I guess one day, they released everyone's BitConnect tokens because they forced you to lock it up. Everybody dumped it immediately, and then it went down to zero, and I lost a lot of money. At the end of the day, I made a little bit more money than I lost, but it was primarily a negative experience, I will say. Now, the next one was more recent. This is yams.finance. I know everybody's heard of the yams hack. The problem with this is that I didn't really look into the code audits. So this was like my first time really understanding that these contracts have to be audited. Not only do they have to be audited, but they have to be audited multiple times, and they have to have economic audits too, which we'll talk about more in the future. So Yams came out and they actually had a bug in the code. It wasn't even a hack. It was just literally a bug in the code where the treasury would take more of the fees than they intended. So the treasury was just taking too many fees, and there were, it was basically an unreversible smart contract that they actually had to get the whole community to band up to change it. So they got the whole community there. They put in the proposal to change the treasury code. And when they actually changed it, they messed up again because it was just a little bit too hard for the development team. So in this case, this was just a bad luck situation of them coding the smart contract wrong. They didn't get hacked or anything. It basically taught me to make sure that when I get into different coins, make sure it's vetted and proven, guys. You don't want to be first to any situation. I learned the lesson the hard way, right? Another one, this was the first time I got economically attacked, right? An economic hack. So the actual protocol didn't get hacked itself when it comes to security. This is harvest.finance. What happened was somebody manipulated the curve, the curve pool. They manipulated the pool and they withdrew a massive amount of money. They specifically did it to the stablecoin pool, and it ended up, they got away with a lot of money. I forgot the exact specifics. It was like $400 million or something like that. Now, with Harvest, they allow me to stake the coin. So I can't sell I had specifically USDC. So I can't sell my USDC, but at least they're allowing me to, keep accruing fees, which is like about 30% APY. Let me just double check this. This is the USDC pool right here. So we're getting about 27% APY. So eventually I'll get my money back. That's just the name of the game. Sometimes we don't win everything, right? But the thing I learned about this is that even if a contract's vetted, even if it has audits, even if it's good, I believe they have an anonymous founder. Guys, when it comes to anonymous, I'm not even going to touch it anymore. If there's an anonymous audit, if there's an anonymous founder, I'm good, right? And I believe in this case, they have an anonymous founder. I'm not 100% sure on this. Again, like I said, when I got hacked, I just turned a blind eye to this, stopped researching it, stopped looking into it, and move forward. And you'll see me do it a lot. Maybe it's a good and a bad thing, but typically I'll have a blind side to opportunities in some cases because of my principles, right? So in this case, I moved forward, took the loss. And in the future, I will definitely be aware of economic attacks and, anonymous founders, okay? Now, next one, this is also recent, and I talked about it in my video, guys. This is just the name of the game. I'll throw opportunities at you, and I'm not always going to be right. But Saffron.finance was a specific situation. I believe they're still doing pretty well, from my understanding, but they got economically attacked as well. This one was just a bad luck situation. I believe they did have audits, or they were in the process of auditing. So this is another example of where I just got in too early. Again, you just don't want to be early all the time. I mean, there's select situations where people make a lot of money, but the vast majority of the time you're going to lose. Like 9 out of 10 projects, they're going to lose. But this was the last one that recently just happened. Now, this was out of the blue. They got audited. This is how crazy these scams can get, guys. This is why you have to be very careful. But they actually put out an anonymous audit. So this was my new learning experience that just happened. And actually big people like Data Dash, his YouTube channel, there's a lot of big people that were talking about this contract. They had about $20 million at one point locked up into the contract. And they, I don't know what they did actually, to be honest. There was a flash loan attack. It wasn't economically audited. It looks like the vast majority of the situations in DeFi, when people are taking advantage of, they're usually economic attacks. It's usually not security anymore. So notice how the scams, it might have not been a scam, but notice how the hackers or the people trying to take advantage of people are they're getting better, guys. They're getting way better. They're evolving. So, you can't base your research, at least when it comes to DeFi, you can't base your research on what you've known before all the time. You have to look at it in a new situation, in a new light, because they're going to try new tricks all the time, right? And in this case, they did the same thing. So, Warp.finance, unfortunately, we can't withdraw our funds from the liquidity protocol. Hopefully you guys didn't lose too much. Usually in these types of opportunities, I don't put anything that I'm not willing to lose. Everything I put in these protocols, I was willing to let it go completely, and I accepted that. So you guys should definitely do the same. The only time where I would say it might be a little bit safer is if you just buy the coin itself. Now they might dump in price, and so that's risky itself too, but that's the game we play here, guys. If you don't want to, lose at all, it might be better to maybe just buy altcoins that have proven themselves and, move forward from there. But I do have a little bit of a risk appetite, and I will be jumping into more protocols. I'm just going to be 10 times more careful because I have made money on some. And I believe since DeFi started, when it comes to yield farming, I've made more money than I lost. It's just a very small margin. So we're getting better. DeFi just started. Nobody knows anything about these protocols. So our strategy is being refined, definitely. And I will be able to call better, plays in the future. So yeah, but that's it for this video, guys. If you like the quality of this content, hit like. If you don't, leave some constructive criticism, subscribe for more video updates. And like I always say, if you don't get with this technology, you will get left behind. And guys, stay away from anonymous founders. Stay away from anonymous audits like Warp Finance did. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Catch you in the next one.